What's up, people? We are back with more of 80 days. In the previous video, we just arrived in Agra, which I actually didn't know was the home of the Taj Mahal. But I knew of the Taj Mahal, of course, but I just thought, yeah, it's in India somewhere. But I didn't know it was in Agra. So when we arrived here, I was kind of surprised about that. But yeah, awesome nonetheless. So when I was editing the previous video, and I was looking back towards the ending when I was talking about this weird idea of like a walking platform which would in a sense be a walking city that just travels from one side to Europe to the other, and then people get on and off whenever they like, and they just live there for however long it takes them to travel to wherever they want to go. And when I heard myself say that, I just thought, like, what the hell have I been smoking? Like, sure, I may live in the Netherlands and stuff, and it's legal here as well, although it's not that special anymore, right? Weed being legal here is not that special anymore, considering it's been legalized in a lot of the parts in America as well. But yeah, I just thought, like, what the hell? Why did I even say that? But now that I've been thinking about it, then it's weird, but it's not that weird. So I just want to put it out there. Like, people were probably just thinking, what the hell is wrong with you? But I'm still standing by my point, okay? It still sounds pretty damn awesome. Alright, so enough on that subject. Right. Before going to bed, I afforded my master every service. I went to stretch my legs and found a nervous Punjabi artist who was looking for a child, whom I found hiding under a pillow of rubbish near a clockmaker's. The artist thanked me, and as we talked, remarked that the quickest way to Guwahati is through Calcutta. I paid £1 for the information. I asked him how he knew. I assured him he were likely to head that way. I paid £1 for the information. I mean, he's an artist. I mean, maybe he would be offended that I actually gave him money for it. I don't know. I don't know how Indian culture exactly works in that regard. Because I swear, there are in certain cultures where just they refuse to, even just when they are working, they refuse to get tips or anything along those lines. Like, I know that in America it's very common that it's actually sort of calculated into your wage that you're supposed to get an average amount of tips per hours or something like that, right? In America it's pretty common, but in certain cultures it's actually they're not allowed to do that. And actually, I think it was in one of my intercultural whatever classes that they mentioned that I think it was in Australia or New Zealand, that when someone was there and they actually left like too much money than what the actual bill was, that the server or the waitress actually ran after them and was like, "You forgot your $2 extra or whatever," which is kind of weird for my culture also, because getting a tip is considered a tip. It's not sort of part of your wage, so it's just considered a bonus. But I think in America it's sort of calculated into your wage. I could be wrong about that, but yeah. Cultures are very interesting. So in that regard, you have to sort of take that into account. Am I offending this person by doing that, or is it just the norm here, or whatever? But I'm just gonna ask him how he knew. I asked him how he knew, but he only smiled and moved away. Ooh, like a ghost. Alright, let's explore Agra. New routes discovered. Oh yeah, from Agra all the way to Calcutta. The perambulatory city of Agra was itself a monstrous contraption? No. It has the Taj Mahal. It's a wonder. It's a wonder. The Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan had wished to build a monument to his great love, Mumtaz, and instead of a mere building, had commissioned a roving city. The vast, white granite magnificence of the Taj Mahal perched on the plateau atop its jointed, fortified legs. Like, if I'm not that much of a person that likes to travel. I like the part of being in different cultures and sort of exploring, but the traveling part, like being in airplanes and that, I'm not a big fan of that. But if I ever were to go in India, I would probably want to see the Taj Mahal, because that, I imagine, would be a pretty amazing sight to see. Right. Atop its jointed, fortified legs, they were thick gouges in the ground, or they were a fitting monument to great love, one that my Frenchman's heart could not disapprove of. The sovereignty was a contested matter. The British had laid claim to her, but she passed through independent territories on her peregrinations. Her power source was an enduring mystery. How can one claim to own a city which moves from place to place? That's sort of a strange thing. Like, if it moves from place to place, it doesn't... I almost wanted to say that it doesn't have an identity, but that's not true. Because the identity is that it's moving every single time in a way, right? But it just feels that... because it's not staying in one place, which is sort of what you're used to of a city. I don't know, it just feels really different, that's for sure. Power source, how can one claim to own a city? Let's ask that. It is as ridiculous a notion as planting a flag upon the moon. That's true, like, yeah, this is our moon now, bitches. Get out of here. Although America probably was the first, and then I think Russia was second. I don't know. There was definitely a race to the moon at some point. I was just glad she worked. I would not change such a marvel. To be honest, I mean, if it works for them, who am I as a tourist to come here and say, this is ridiculous, you shouldn't do this? So, if it works for them, then fine. Her safety record was unimpeachable, if one did not account the occasional sleeping farmer crushed beneath the granite-clad foot. Occasional sleeping farmer. Yeah, that's not a big deal at all. We boarded Agra at noon. She would begin walking to Calcutta when the sun set, taking us with her on her unvarying circuit. Alright, that's the parts. Let's move to Calcutta. What? We're going to arrive on Friday? Oh my god. Sure, let's take the moving city. High temperatures. This looks like a bothersome route. Huh. Let's see. Can we actually buy something against the heat? A zoot robe. Valuable in Manila, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Alright. Hooded cloak. Black cloak with a deep hood, perfect for skulking around. What is skulking? A railway whistle. So this actually, what is a balalaika? Worth 600? Nah, screw the balalaika. We're gonna buy this because this is valuable in 3 cities, right? So it's pretty highly that we're going to be visiting either one of those 3 cities and then selling it for a higher price, of course. I'm interested in what the hooded cloak does, because I'm looking for something. Obviously, if there's some sort of cloak that, or just clothes in general that help against the cold, you would think that there would be at least something that helps against the heat as well, right? But I think a hooded cloak would kind of shade you, protect you from the blazing sun. So in that regard, worth 1,000. Brisbane. That's in England. Screw that. Saffron Cross, that's a lot. I don't think we're going to Vladivostok, so screw that as well. This is a lot though. Playing cards. Let's get rid of those. Worth 10 ball. It's worth $10 or 10 pounds in Omsk. I should have sold it when I was there. Would have made a fortune. Alright, that's the part. Let's move to Calcutta. It's gonna be really weird because I think, yeah, look at this. It's just basically a moving city. I mean, that's... in one way, it's so weird, but in another way, it's freaking awesome. One of the scarlet-cloaked city officials rang a brass bell. Answering tolls echoed from all corners of the city of Agra. While the sound still echoed in my ears, the city lurched underneath me, tilting first to the left, then abruptly to the right. We were off. The walking city had begun its circuit. She settled down. I felt rattled. No. She settled down into a regular rhythm after a few tottering steps, and by evening I barely noticed the slight tilt and jaw, developing the kind of sea legs. It's a freaking moving city. I love it. Hell yeah, this is what technology is gonna bring to the world. Truth be told, the sound was more difficult to accustom myself to than Agra's multi-jointed gait. Her granite-clad feet pounded into the earth with enormous shuddering crashes that could be heard even from our rarefied station. I took that. I mean, as cool as it may sound, I feel like exactly as he's describing. It's gotta be, especially if you're not used to it, it's gotta just be very unpleasant to actually be on that city while it's traveling. I looked over the edge. Wow, dude. I would not have the courage to do that myself, but... Passepartout is dangerous. He likes the danger. At the verdant fields and forest below, interrupted by that little thatched villages and larger brick buildings, towns which wreathed themselves in black smoke, the grand trunk road snaked ahead of us towards the horizon. I felt like a giant. The earth seemed to unroll itself for my inspection. Farmers and horses and cows below seemed pale and unreal and altogether insignificant. In that moment, only I was solid. Only I was real. Thankfully, the moment passed quickly. But I did not soon return to the railing. A man's strange thoughts perched atop a migrating city with an engine for a heart. This has gotta be painful for Fogg, man. Because he wants to go really fast, of course, and we're taking about Tuesday to Friday, that's about 3 days? Yeah, 3 days to travel quite a short distance, which you could cover in less than a day. But sometimes it doesn't matter. I mean, sure, he wants to travel fast, but sometimes it's just the way of travel that makes the journey special as well, right? Because how often are you gonna get the chance to travel by moving city? It just still blows my mind. My master and I took a turn around the top deck as we passed within the sight of Allahabad, marveling at the glistening white marble edifice of the Taj Mahal. Anything with Taj Mahal, just gonna click it. Bounded by clear blue water and manicured gardens. A photographer had set up a booth on the lawn and was doing a brisk trade, taking ferrotypes of families posing in front of the magnificent monument. Her hands were stained? His hands? It was so quick. He developed, fixed, varnished, and handed the ferrotype to the customer in a matter of minutes. He glanced over at me, appraisingly. "Photograph?" he asked in passable French. £10. Ah, mais oui. I agreed, and then glanced at Monsieur Fogg and invited him to join me into the picture. He glanced at the photographic apparatus with evident suspicion, and then at my hopeful expression. "Very well," he said shortly. "Come on, we gotta have like a memory, you know? A souvenir of the journey. What if 30 years from now we're gonna look back and then we have this picture, and then at our, I don't know, at a reunion, I don't know if I'm still gonna be working for Monsieur Fogg, but then we'll just look at the picture and just all those feelings, all those memories will come rushing back. Oh, nostalgia." I stared at him, mouth agape, for a full 20 seconds. I had not imagined that he would agree. We posed beside each other as the photographer made his equipment ready. I could barely keep the grin from my face. There was a blinding flash of white light, and by the time my vision had returned to normal, the ferrotype was already being pressed into my hands. A handsome article. In some light, I can almost see the barest hint of a smile upon my master's lips. I tucked the ferrotype into my pocket, and we continued about our promenade. Your funds have gone down a little? I couldn't see how much. I would have liked to see how expensive the picture was, so I'm just gonna keep attending to Monsieur Fogg, because this is probably not his optimal way of traveling, so I feel like I just gotta make it up for him in somehow, whenever I can, of course. I was taking a small, digestive walk after a substantial breakfast when I saw a young lady in a bright pink sari and yellow-lensed goggles pitch herself over the outer railings. I leapt across the deck and immediately entangled myself in some coils of rope which toppled me onto the railings in a slightly less heroic fashion than intended. I peered over the edge, bracing myself, sick with morbid curiosity. Kind of. Did she fell? But the woman's fate, only to see her waving up at me, cheerily, suspended at the railing by a length of a thick hemp rope knotted about her waist. I waved back, I guess. I mean, it was a little bit scary, thinking that she might jump. But you know what? We're just gonna wave back. I waved back, though my fixed expression could hardly have been described as nonchalant, even by the kindest critic. The woman sought me out at luncheon, by which time I was much recovered, and she introduced herself as Daya. I cannot use your first name, you must tell me, what were you doing? Oh, Mademoiselle Daya, I bowed. A pleasure to meet your acquaintance. She laughed in surprise. Your manners are very fancy. I invited her to sit with me. I thought we had lost you earlier, I remarked. You gave me a terrible fright. She grinned. I must admit, I waited for you to show up before I jumped. An excellent performance. I could not fault her theatrics. She bowed. I'll make it up to you. Agra is a big city, and all the good stuff is below decks. I'll take you down tomorrow if you want to do more than sightseeing. Oh, she swept away into the crowds, leaving me to contemplate her challenge over my meal. Wait, does that mean we're gonna stay an extra day longer? Because we're already at Calcutta. Of course, I stayed well away. No, I'm gonna go below, come on. She made me an offer I cannot refuse. I went below decks. I am a man who cannot resist a challenge. Daya told me of some of the history and layouts as we descended a series of stairs of increasing ricketiness, I don't know. The upper deck was devoted to the Taj Mahal and surrounding pleasure gardens which housed the tourists and wealthy pilgrims, whereas down below were the engines, and was perhaps but 1/10 of the population. Down below were the engines and the workers, fuel stores, cleaners, gardeners, engineers, cooks, crew, and their families required to keep the city going. How long have you lived here? I asked my guide, marveling at her familiarity with the unmarked corridors and alleyways, which reminded me uncomfortably of the Paris catacombs. I actually watched a movie about the catacombs in Paris. What was it called? It was a horror movie. God damn it, I forgot its name, but it was actually pretty creepy. Because I'm pretty sure some of it was based on, you know, real stuff. So, or perhaps it was actually filmed there as well. I'm not sure, but just the idea of catacombs, like, oh, it kind of freaks me out. Especially the Egyptian ones and stuff, where they're mummified. Ugh, freaks me out. It's amazing to one degree, but freaky in another one. 10 years, she told me. I hope to die here. Agra is a mausoleum, after all. But how does the city work? I asked curiously. The walking city was a unique wonder which had never been replicated. Ah, there's the mystery. Daya gave a passing crewman a companionable wave. We work on the legs and the outer engines, but the heart is sealed off. The rumor is that Shah Jahan killed all the engineers' designers and entombed them in the chamber. She glanced at me to ascertain the effect of her statement. Clever, I commented, raising an eyebrow in a rather foggish fashion. I believe the Egyptian pharaohs did something similar. Daya shrugged. Normal people do strange things for love. She looked away. And emperors are strange creatures to begin with. My guide raised her hand. The sound of the engines was vibrating through the floor. There was no one about. The walls were here highly polished, inlaid with jasper and sharp calligraphy. Then she opened a pair of carved doors. A flurry of people. She opened a set of carved doors, saying, with grave ceremony, "Welcome to the lower city." Is this like the slums of the city, of the walking city? I blinked my eyes against the light, and as they adjusted, I saw where we were. We had come to a township built within the echoing bowels of the city, complete with shops and residences, and even children playing games on the street, though these children tossed adjustable spanners and brass rings. Gigantic dials and levers, a muezzin called the faithful to prayer. A child threw a ring at my feet. A child threw a ring at my feet and shyly approached as I reached out to hand it back. The ring, I saw, was old and engraved with measurements. A kneecap, Daya said. We go through 5 or 6 every decade. Daya was clearly a well-known figure and introduced me to her fellow lower city folk with great pride. Almost everyone wore tool belts and yellow lensed goggles. That's like their outfit. That's the outfit of the lower city people. So, she asked, turning on the spot with hands outstretched. What do you think of my home, Frenchman? It is fantastic. A hidden world. Strange but lovely. It is unconventional. No, it's fantastic, I declared. I would not have dreamed such a place existed beneath the parks of the upper deck. Daya nodded at my response, as if turning it over in her mind. The truth is, I think that all cities have a below decks, my friend, she said. Agra is just more obvious, or less, depending. All too soon I heard the sound of the bells. There was something hinted at in her tone, I thought. She smiled weakly. Don't worry, passe-partout, she murmured. I'm not going to eat you. Madame, But before I can finish my thought, the bells rang out for our stop. The room around me exploded in controlled chaos. Steam exploded from valves, the floor rocked, brass goggled man and woman pulled enormous levers. Threw open iron gates, and shouted instructions at each other in a storm of languages. The city lurched to a halt, and the great heart stilled. We had arrived at our destination, the British city of Calcutta. I never saw Daya again. No, Daya. I thought we had something going on there, woman. Holy crap, we're at Calcutta. Many of our possessions will trade well here. And we have to explore Calcutta and find a journey onward. Alright, so Pharaoh type. Of course we're gonna keep this picture. What would sell well here? Let's see. Not in particular. Nope. What is he talking about? Nothing really sells all that well here. Ushanka, I don't think that's very useful. We're not going to whatchamacallit anymore anyway. To Russia. Alright, let's put the Pharaoh type in there. God damn it, why do I keep closing it? So we could get an extra suitcase, neck cushion, an Indian rubber neck cushion for sleeping in the seats of an airship, peppermint tablet, cowboy boots, a pair of high leather cowboy boots fitted with spurs, crackers, salve of arnica. Right, probably not that useful. Of interest to Ernest, Prim, and Sea Dog types. Wool shirt. I don't think we need anything here. Now, I don't expect to be traveling by airship. We could, but I'm sort of expecting that if when we're heading towards America, then it's probably gonna be by boat. But we'll see. We'll find other places along the road when we actually get there. So yeah, explore Calcutta. Oh, look at this. We got a route to Chittagong. That's exactly where I want to go. Singapore as well. And Singapore to Hong Kong. Calcutta was an industrial city which had built its wealth on opium, textiles, and indigo. But that was not to say it was uncultured. The chai shops which I passed by were all thronged with affluent Babas and Behijins, or Behenjis, I don't know, some of those words, discussing poetry and literature, and the sticky subject of Indian independence. Yeah, thank God I'm a Frenchman and not an Englishman like Fogg here. Because that would be kind of awkward, because I'm pretty sure that all the Indians would be like, why are you holding us, against our will? Well, not really like that, but seeing as it's partially sort of owned by Britain, I'd imagine that if the Indians saw a Britishman, they'd I don't know, you either sort of have hostile feelings towards that person, or be like, our Lord and Savior, hallelujah. Probably not, though. It seemed there was a discontent brewing. It seemed the natural outcome of events. Discontent brewing in several places, and I wondered if we would be able to avoid all consequences of it. Where's the most dangerous right now? Do you think there will be trouble soon? I asked. Several voices agreed, but then several disagreed. It seemed there was really no clear answer to be had here either. Only time would tell. I quickly returned to Monsieur Fogg. Right, so it's 8 PM now. An elephant! What? I wanna meet an elephant? So, I think Gawahari. I think we're gonna go to Chittagong. Pyongyang, I'm coming for you eventually. Alright, Chittagong, definitely gonna go here. Let's negotiate. A partial Englishman wardrobe would change their minds. It seems they're pretty demanding. For we got plenty of money, we got all the money in the world. So it's leaving tomorrow at 9 AM. That's excellent for us. Gonna spend the night here. Bam, 6:30. We made ourselves comfortable for the night, and I attended to Monsieur Fogg. Yeah. Providing him with clipped mustaches. Clipped mustaches? Like a clip-on mustache? Is that his secret to his awesome mustache? I remember in the movie he had like this, I think this sort of, you know, how at the ends of the mustache it's like thinner but it's curled. So sometimes you have these people when they're thinking, they like curl on their mustache like, you probably know what I'm thinking about. I didn't know that you could, that probably doesn't exist, right? Clip-on mustaches, that sounds ridiculous. Relationship with Fogg has strengthened slightly. And let's depart. Depart for Chittagong. The SS Thunder, yes. There will be a worrisome option, but the top hat from our gentleman traveler said should make a master more comfortable. We boarded the SS Thunder of the Apcar shipping line on its way to Hong Kong via Singapore. But the smokestacks barely had time to steam off their morning dew before we were approaching Chittagong to pick up more laborers. We made a full stop. We disembarked, we hid. What is going on? I'd be kinda scared, like, sort of worried what happened if we were to stop, like, you know, as you can see on the line, where the red line stops, sort of at the middle of our journey, in the middle of the ocean. I'd be kinda worried. Let's just hide. We hid, but soon found there was a little order aboard ship. And when the boat left once more, we had room and board, and all for no cost. I knew Monsieur Fogg, I think, knew our status was stowaways. I think he was unaware of this arrangement, and I kept it from him. Oh no, why did I do that? Knowing he would only raise a steadfast objection to our fair dodging. The captain, with whom we quickly made friends, promised us a journey of 10 days rather than the usual figure of 12. Relations with Fogg have deteriorated slightly. Oh no. Damn, we're reaching Chittagong pretty fast. Bam, right there. What? Are we not stopping in Chittagong? Oh no. Abort mission. Quickly, abort mission. No. We dined at the captain's table. He made his toast and then asked Monsieur Fogg outright whether he was an opium trader, and I his factotum. What is a factotum? I leapt in to deny. I looked at my master. Let Monsieur Fogg answer this, who merely said he was not. Capture Ong guffawed. What's guffawed? Guffawed and commanded our glasses filled once more. It is a profitable business, he advised. A man can make his fortune in opium if, and he addressed the last to my master, he is not squeamish. My master is hardly squeamish, I interjected, with a glance towards Mr. Fogg. He is a true gentleman, and has no need of putting his hand to trade. I feared the captain would be offended, but instead he merely shrugged. If your master was never known need, then his honor is untested. Monsieur Fogg gave me a quelling look before returning to the captain. Your business is your own, Captain Ong, as long as you conduct me to Hong Kong in 10 days as agreed. The captain raised a glass. Fear not, Mr. Fogg. I have anxious customers awaiting my cargo after all. Don't tell me we are not cargo, right? Yes, relationship have strengthened again. So, yeah, I guess there's not much we can do. Like, I thought that this boat would stop in Chittagong, and then, you know, we would have time to explore, and then perhaps have at least one day to check there, and then hop back on the boat. But apparently not. Oh my god, this is a typical French thing, isn't it? I awoke thinking of croissants. Not just any croissant, my friend, but the croissant made on the corner of the street where I grew up, delicately crisp on the outside, yielding within. I could smell them, almost feel the texture of the pastry on my tongue. I was so lost in contemplation that I was nearly, or very nearly late to attend my master's shave. Zut alors. So I'm assuming this one, this boat does not stop in Singapore at all either. The last cars who made up the crew seemed to find me an object of great curiosity. I found them a great annoyance, as they would not be put off from asking incomprehensible questions as I went about my daily business. A young Malay shyly asked me what Paris was like. "It is beautiful," I said cautiously. "The sand glitters like a snake. The theaters spill light and colors onto the street. The cafes are full of men and women debating and drinking endless cups of coffee. There are beautiful women and beggars all on the street, on the same street." That's actually true. I remember I went to Paris when I was very young because it was on some bus trip or something, like all the way from the Netherlands to Paris, to basically with our family to go to Disneyland, which was pretty awesome of course back then. But I remember that it was really strange in Paris. There were like some parts of Paris were just like really awesome and really beautiful, and then if you walked in like one wrong corner, one wrong street, there would be like, there was just such a contrast difference between it that you would have a lot of beggars on one street, or even in the main like the main plaza or whatever, there were a lot of beggars. I remember that for sure, even though it was more than 10 years ago for sure. I remember that part. She looked at me curiously. I took a deep breath, dissatisfied with my answer. "It is much like any other place. Never mind my thoughts. Perhaps you will see it yourself one day." She nodded, accepting my answer. I doubted she would ever set foot in the city of my birth. "Thank you, my good man. I feel better." We should probably actually converse at some point, because I'm guessing when we reach Hong Kong, we don't know that many of the routes, or the routes. Today we stopped at Singapore, on the southernmost tip of the Malay Peninsula. Singapore had been British for many decades, and from the harbor it seemed almost as if some little-known town in Kent or Surrey had been shipped piece by piece and reconstructed on this far shore. We exchanged some laborers for a dozen or so merchants. Yeah, that's what happened, and made sail by early afternoon. So we're leaving Singapore as well? No, I kind of wanted to go there really, but too bad. Began conversation. "Greetings, my dear madame. Tell me of Paris, passepartout." Alright, let's talk about Hong Kong. What do you know about Hong Kong? It is easy to lose oneself in the opium dens of Hong Kong. Awesome. Right, Hong Kong to Manila. Is it possible? That seems quite impossible to me. But tell me, does the Seine ever flood? No, of course not. It is a very civilized river. How lucky. The river floods every year where I come from. More about Hong Kong. Have you heard that Beijing can be reached from Hong Kong aboard the Beijing Express? But the fare is extortionate. Honolulu. Oh yeah, this is like kind of a first sign of how we can get to America. Can you travel from Hong Kong to Honolulu? No idea, but I do know you can pick up revolvers in Honolulu. Extremely valuable in New Orleans. Oh god. What is Pai? I want to ask more about Honolulu. What else do you know about Honolulu? Have you heard that you can pick up harmonicas in Honolulu? Extremely valuable in New Orleans. Wow. It seems like everything in Honolulu is valuable in New Orleans. Alright. Thanks for the information. So, from Hong Kong all the way to Beijing with the Beijing Express. The captain was on deck in the afternoon as I took a turn. He seemed to hesitate for a moment before he approached and abruptly said, "My brother is an opium addict." Your brother? He looked around to make sure we were not overheard before nodding. "My family is from Shanghai. We are poor, but instead of relieving my parents' care, my older brother became an opium eater who lied and stole and wasted his days." Who sold him the opium? His eyes hardened. Does that matter? I know that it is British opium, and I am no fool, but he chose it. You're alright. I agreed, discomfited. He let down your family. I left Shanghai at 15. I ended up in Singapore with nothing to my name but a shirt. And now look at where I am. My parents live well on the money I sent them. Wow, good job, dude. What of your brother? Have you ever smoked opium? That's like the stupidest question to ask, right? He's like clearly devastated that his brother was addicted to opium, and you're like, oh, have you ever tried it yourself? You know what? Screw it. We're gonna ask him anyway. No! The captain recoiled. I do not! None of my crew does either. I would put them off if they did. He took a shaky breath. I have not talked of this for many years, but I wanted to tell you this, monsieur. Things are not so simple as you seem to think. Captain Ong bowed stiffly, and my thoughts flickered between the captain's story and a chest of opium, even now in a cargo hold. Or multiple chests. We hit a squall today, and were confined to our cabins. I could hear the sailors shout to each other outside as the ship pitched from side to side. Monsieur Fogg, in an uncharacteristic display of humanity, was noisily sick into a nearby bucket. I whisked away the bucket wordlessly. I mopped his brow, an act which he clearly deemed overfamiliar, even in his compromised position. No, deteriorated. Goodness gracious, this is rather more strenuous than I anticipated. Well, it is a very long boat trip. 75 health. Oh, that's not good. One of the Indian laborers was lying limp in the corridor outside of our cabin. Hello? I asked doubtfully, and he moaned. He looked feverish, clammy, and rather warm to the touch. I called one of the crew to attend to him, and watched as he was shouldered away to his cabin. The steward, a wizened Indian of indeterminate, weather-beaten years, clapped me on the shoulder as thanks, and in his disjointed tongue promised to take care of him. Or at least, I assumed. Good. I hope that guy gets better. Alright, so we're getting to Hong Kong very soon. A shined pair of shoes is much better. The ill laborer was walking in slow circles about the deck when I came up. I looked over as I walked past, and I greeted him with a wave. He gave me a glare. I was to take up a job at an Apcar warehouse in Hong Kong, but now they think I will not be able to work, Harry. Well, I have no job because of you. Wait, what? Ill laborer. Oh, that was the guy. What? He turned away and I fled the deck rather unceremoniously. What? He's mad at us because we thought he was sick, like we actually took care of him, but... Or at least that was our intention, but apparently he didn't want that help. And it actually caused him harm because now he's not able to work. Or at least they don't think he won't be to work, so he lost his job. Don't I feel like an asshole now? Damn. I'm sorry, dude. Alright, we're in Hong Kong. Finally, the destination. We reached our destination in the promised 10 days. Quite a miracle. Holy crap, I didn't notice. It was day 42. And one that Captain Ong was clearly proud of. He shook our hands with great gusto as we disembarked, his eyes dancing. Good luck, he called, as I looked around the crowded, colorful harbor of Hong Kong. Yeah. Here we are, Hong Kong. Perfect time to end the video. Wow, that was a very fun and exciting journey. I don't think, honestly, we would have had this much of a just wild journey if we had gone along the Russian routes any longer. So I think we made the right choice by going through Kabul and then towards India. And I mean, the boat ride was very interesting in itself, and then especially, it's still my highlight, the walking city. It's just awesome, man. How can you not love it? But yeah, we're gonna end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and in the next video we're going to continue exploring Hong Kong and try and reach. I think we have to go to Beijing to reach Pyongyang, because that's still our end goal. Like, even though I know it's 1872, Kim Jong-un is not there, I'm just still gonna give it a huge middle finger because I can, basically. Alright, see you in the next video. Peace!